الله أكبر
حي على الصلاة
الله أكبر الله أكبر
حي على الصلاة
الله أكبر.
Arise, giving all praise to Allah, Father of the universe, cherisher and sustainer of all the boundless universes. I extend the highest violence to His Holy Divine Prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, founder of Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam. Extend high honors to the forerunner of the Prophet, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the founder of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, who did indeed warn and stir up the nations. Islam. I extend high honors to the Moorish flag, the red flag with the 5-pointed green star in the center. These 5 points represent love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. These are the 5 highest principles known to man. Islam. Extend high honors to the American flag, also known as the Stars and Stripes. This flag exists as a constant reminder that the European nations owe you, the Moors, compound interest. Islam. This is also the flag of our birth. I honor the noble Sheik staff, noble vanguard staff for keeping peace, giving honors to you, the ills and babes. For without you, there is no Moorish movement. Islam. All right. Giving honors to our young brother right here. Islam. Praise Allah. Tonight, I kind of want to camelback on, a demonstration I gave last Holy Day. We were talking about brotherhood and sisterhood. But I'd like to inject a question. It seems like a simple, harmless question. The question is, what is a friend? Now, of all the lofty doctrines of the Moorish Science Temples of America, there's a lot of language and a lot of verbiage used by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali throughout the body of his work. But a lot of times, because we have a tendency to lean to our own understanding, we'll seek to define words as we understand them instead of, doing the diligent work to put in to see what the Prophet meant by that. Islam, right? Last week, we opened up with we dealt with an ayat in the Quran of Mecca. That ayat was Surah 49, ayat 10, right? And that ayat was called Surah was called Al-Hujurat. Everyone, Al-Hujurat. Al-Hujurat means the inner rooms. Okay? Again, we have to understand what is meant by that, right? Like, for you guys as a nation that attend your Sunday school meetings, what is the name given to the first physical man?
That name cannot be used only by the executive order of the MS.
Executive rulers.
Executive rulers of the AC and the MSTFA.
Islam. What are the words AC of the MSTFA?
That Adab Chamber, Moorish Science Temple of America, Third Heaven.
Third Heaven. So again, there's many different dimensions, of understandings that can be drawn off what seems like a simple word, right? This word hujurat, right? Demonstrating the inner rooms is demonstrating an inner understanding, of what, those mysteries are. You know what I'm saying? So when you talk about a hujurat in a hujur in a regular sense, like this, we're in a hujur now, or we're in a room now, right? But this is demonstrating an inner room, an inner chamber. Islam, right? Within that, ayat 10, 49, ayat 10, and Allah willing, that'll mean something to you later, the number. We get the following verse. It says, this is how you translate it. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, most merciful. It says, the believers are but brothers. So make settlement between your brothers and fear Allah that you may receive mercy. Islam? Now the word for brothers they use is ikhwatun. Okay? Which is okay? Ikhwatun which is right, which the word brother is ah in Arabic. For sister is ukhut. Okay, so the word for brother and sister in Arabic bears the same root. Okay, so this is huatun, which means that when it's saying that you are but brothers, can also mean you are but sisters as well. Okay, so there's no, and Allah's sight, again, what did Allah mean by that? See what I'm saying? We can say it says brother, so it means the brother. Nah, in Allah's sight, brother and sister, it's the same vibration. Islam. But let's ponder on that. Let's go into the land of fleshless things. Where it says the believers, which is the word mu'min, which mu'min in Arabic is faithful, not believer. Okay, because it's one who has iman, which is faithful. So the faithful are about brothers and sisters. So make settlement between your brothers and sisters. So Allah knows that this is the carnal plan, right? So this is the land of hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything at all, right? So Allah realizes that there will be times when we'll fall out of sync with one another, right? Well, Allah is demanding that, by way of divine decree, that we make a settlement between brothers and sisters. You see what I'm saying? And goes forward with various different revelations to give you the remedies for such, right? So again, you're not leaning to your own understanding or your own passions, but you have a hierarchical, form of spirituality to go to remedy the situations.
Indeed.
Islam?
Islam.
All right. Now, if we were to go to Holy Quran and More Science Temple of America from our prophet, our holy and divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, right? Going to chapter 41. Because remember, our topic is what is a friend? Because brotherhood opens the door for friendship. Right? Chapter 41, instruction 12. Right? Islam, right? Again, chapter 41, instruction 12. In that instruction it says, Prophet Noble Drew Ali instructs us and says, whoso hath been an enemy cannot be a friend, for man mendeth not his faults. Islam? All right? So again, what kind of man would not mend his faults? Or what kind of woman that would not mend their faults? This is one, let's say, that's caught in what Sheik just demonstrated very eloquently, I must say, about the post-traumatic stress syndrome. Ones that are caught in Negro, black, colored, and Ethiopian or African American, they're caught in a mode or a condition, right, where they find it difficult to mend their faults. Now, while in that state, we're bound by divine decree to still love them, right? But Allah's giving you a caveat emptor that until they mend those faults, they are not a friend. Because friend is a lofty title. Friend. See, we've dragged that word right down to the very lowest. Like, you make your friend, oh, this is my boy. And we do dirt together. So that's my friend.
Right.
Islam, because we all know that we all been there. You know what I mean? However, when you talk about nationality, and you're talking about specific grand principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, you're talking about a high vibration of friendship. Islam? Let's go to another verse. Another instruction. Let's go to chapter 30, Holy Quran and More Science Temple of America. Chapter 30, the social duties, instruction 2. Chapter 30 says, it is thy duty, let's read this together, it's a small verse. It is thy duty, therefore, to be a friend to mankind, as it is thy interest that man should be friendly to thee. So, this high degree of friendship is not optional according to this instruction. Because it said it is thy duty to do so. It's thy obligation. You see what I'm saying? Like, when you're talking about, that handpress of unity, which is a covenant or contract agreement that a thing will most surely be performed. That's what you're pressing to. that any particular act will most surely be performed, right? That the fact of your word being your bond being your life, giving your life for your worship. Very lofty concept or conceptualization of what it is to be a friend, right? As we see, verse 2 is demonstrating, it's almost mirroring instruction 1, where, instruction 1 is talking about receiving and conferring reciprocal helps, mutual obligations, and so on and so forth.
Wow.
So it says, it is thy duty, therefore, to be a friend to mankind, as in thy interest that man should be friendly to thee. And again, it's making a difference between man and mankind. It's just something to be noted. We can deal with it later. We ain't gonna do that tonight. It is the holy thing, right? But there's a difference there. He could have used man for both words, but he didn't, right? But nevertheless, right? So duty. So we're duty bound to demonstrate a high degree of friendship. Okay, so we get in there to get to the point where the vibration of what is a friend, right? Let's cut over to chapter 7 in our Quran. And I'm just doing this to show you that you have to cross-reference the prophet within his own words. Islam? Right? Chapter 7, right? 7 is a very sacred number to us, right?
Indeed it is.
Says, chapter 7, just go to the title of that. It says, the friendship of Jesus and Lamas. Jesus explains to Lamas the meaning of truth. Islam was? All right? Instruction 1 gives you a vibration of what friendship is based on. It says, among the priests of Jagonath was one who loved the Jewish boy. Lamas Brahmas was the name by which the priest was known. So friendship is based on the principle of love, right? Prophet Noble Drali instructs the Moorish Americans that love is the only savior of the world. Islam? Right? It also gives you instruction that Lamas Brahmas was the name by which the priest was known. I don't mean that was his name. Islam? Lamas Brahmas had another name, but the people knew him as Lamas Brahmas. Islam?
That's right.
In this conversation, this friendship exchange between Jesus and Lamas, if you really understand what you're reading, this is a conversation between two masters.
That's right.
They may not, and they were having this conversation because they were by themselves. They weren't around a bunch of people. Islam?
Islam.
All right, so they would demonstrate degrees back and forth with one another. Islam was?
Islam.
All right. So let's go to chapter 15. Chapter 15, instruction 16. Instruction 16 reads, for 40 days did Jesus wrestle with his carnal self. His higher self prevailed. He then was hungry, but his friends had found him, and they ministered unto him. Islam?
Islam.
Now he went in the wilderness to be alone to wrestle with and conquer self. Islam? Right. But these particular friends, they knew where he was. Now if he went to go be with himself, would he have told the common man where he was?
Right.
Nah, he told his friends. Right? And after 40 days, 40 days of fasting, you're almost near death. Islam? All right? So they came to him, and they didn't come to him and bring him food. Not that kind of food anyway. But they came to him and ministered unto him after that to raise his ethers, right? Because they knew he just finished a jihad, an inner struggle, a battle between the higher and lower, and the higher self prevailed. But nevertheless, he's still in the carnal form. Carnal form is weak. So his friends came to demonstrate with him a high vibration to feed his spirit. They get him to the point where he could break his fast. Islam? But it was his friends that did that for him.
Islam.
Islam.
One itself, Ranesi-El, highest praise and highest honor to his holy divine prophet, Noble Drali. For clarity, would you mind giving the difference between the jihad and I believe it's his body for war?
Yeah, like the physical aspect.
The physical aspect,
well,
because sometimes that gets, that gets intertwined.
Islam. Jihad is actually a Sufi term. It's not even a common, for use amongst the common man. I'll go because there's different words for it.
Right.
For warfare as it's known in the carnal.
Right.
Right. So I'll go this way with it. Raise your five-fold, bro.
It's all well.
Yeah, great handwriting.
Got it in the records.
Maybe next lifetime for me. Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Right. So you have jihad, right? Which means the internal struggle. Right? And this is just the daily thing we go through, to be the better version of ourselves, right? Then, aside from that, you have what is known as Heru. Heru is warfare. Heru is, a declaration of war is made, and you pick up rifles and ammunition and go forward and take lives. That's Heru. It's also known as Heru, right? Which literally means the abode of war, right? Heru is 180 degrees from, and I'll do this at the top so you all can see. Salam, which means the abode of peace. Which, ironically, there's a contingent of Moorish Americans that think the Prophet Noble Drew Ali did not have the understanding that, our beloved Prophet Muhammad had, peace be upon him. But if you read through Moorish literature, you're going to stumble upon the Prophet talking about the abode of peace. Islam. The Prophet had an understanding of Dar es-Salaam, but knew in 1913 you didn't speak Arabic. But he brought you the understanding of what that is. Told you about it, right? So these two are 180 degrees from one another, but the jihad is more of a mystical term. Right? But what media has done, right? Media has taken a spiritual terminology and weaponized it. So when you hear the term jihad, you think about, Allahu Akbar with a bomb and going to take lives, right? Which, by the way, is not even Quranic based. You know what I'm saying? Muslims, are forbidden from taking innocent lives. We have rules for warfare.
Right.
That's not one of them. Islam, okay? But jihad is a spiritual thing. Like I said, we all go through that, daily. And when the Prophet gives you the concept of jihad in chapter 3, we talk about, the higher and the lower side. Islam? Islam, Muslim.
Khaled Mujahid.
Come on, Mo.
The same one.
Come the line, Mo. Unfold the grid.
Oh, no.
Enlighten the Moors, Mo. Come on.
That's right.
Mujahid.
I rise giving the highest praise to Allah, highest honor to His holy divine prophet, Islam. Mujahid, like, for my study, and, is one who internally struggles. Is the move being no one.
That's right.
And he say it's an inward thing, knowing your higher and lower self, and knowing your foes, and knowing that it's as soon as you got out of bed, it's there. And the brother Rashid was saying before, this is it's an ongoing thing. It doesn't stop as long as we're in this carnal form. We always have to kind of strive to master that, or to conquer.
Absolutely.
That lower self. So.
Islam. And now, do those tests end with your leaving the carnal plane?
Many foes.
Come on, man.
Many foes.
Yeah, we got plenty of warfare to do. Not just, it don't end here. Soul plane, you got stuff to do. Many lifetimes. Islam? All right. Another aspect of the term mujahid, in Dar al-Harb, you will find the term mujahid, right? But it's only used in the sense of, let's say, something's going on and somebody was about to take his life, and I'll put it on me and I'll put it on you. And I saw it, right? And I jumped in front of it and I ate that for him. In that sense, I would consider a mujahid. You see what I'm saying? Because I was willing to go through and go to such a self where I would be willing to give up my own form to save his. Islam? But that's still an internal struggle to do that. And then once I do it, you're known as a shaheed. And a shaheed, what they're saying, martyr. That's not bad, horrible translation. A shaheed is one who bears witness. And if you've ever been to an Islamic janazah, you hear the brothers say amongst themselves, when you put the brother on the ground or the sister on the ground, will say he or she now knows the truth. You see what I'm saying? Islam.
You speaking of brotherhoods, right?
Islam.
The Mujahideen.
Come on now.
Now, I don't know that much, but those are the ones that, if in so many words, they're taking an oath to basically avenge those that cannot afford to avenge themselves.
Islam.
Simply put.
Islam. So now y'all are going into, y'all are sending, I see y'all.
Because you said that, when you talk about that specific brotherhood, you can't throw it around.
Right.
You know, you can't throw it around as if like a soldier. You
Right.
know what I mean? Because this is a specific type,
That's not.
if you will.
That's not.
Quite simple.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Help me unfold, because like it's your part of like. So now we're going into that, you know, in the mind state of our more ancient fathers of what they call them Sufi, right? So why did they call them Sufi, right? They'll tell you that they were called Sufi because they wore wool garments, like a suf. That word suf means wool, right? But you don't wear wool garments in the desert. You'll die. I've been there. They call them Sufi because the hair of these ones, they have woolly hair, right? They were the children of the land. You know, you go to the book of Revelation to give you the, you know, the symbology of what the land represents. Prophet Noble Riley gives you the, you know, the land represents the what? The common people. Jesus' message, his holy teaching was to the what? Common people represented by the land. Jesus also was called the land. Islam, which is El Haruf in Arabic, right? But this Sufi, these Sufis, right? These mystical woolly-haired ones were the ones that, you know, took any doctrine that Allah revealed to the earth and got to its core, its essence of its mystical meaning. So they've always existed. Like, you know, brothers will come to me and they're, well, I'm studying Sufi. Well, praise Allah, but that's still that's a box, right? Sufism, you know, what you're calling Sufism, doesn't deal with finite, like being boxed in. It's an omnipotent teaching. So no matter where you go, if you're studying Buddhism, there's its equivalent of Sufism there, right? Confucianism had its inner court of Confucianism where it don't seem as rigid. You know what I'm saying? That's more pliable. That's the inner aspect, the inner teaching of Confucianism. Islam, Ifa has its inner, dealing with initiations and brotherhoods and orders and, you know what I'm saying? You know, things you gotta do for, I gotta wear white for a year, cut my hair. You know what I'm saying? And that seems very familiar. Okay, that's more, we know what that is. Islam, all right? And that degree teaching of initiatory vibration. So once you get this discipline master, okay, we initiate you to a higher degree, to that. We've been doing that for thousands of years. We've never been the type of people to just give out information because you have to filter out and find out who your friends are. Islam? Right? The word friend in Webster's dictionary, right, says it comes from the word friand, right? Friand, which F-R-E-O-N, right? Which means to love.
Indeed.
From the Gothic friund, meaning friend, as we understand. It's defined as one who is attached to another by affection, one who has esteem and regard for another, and loves his society. Okay? One not hostile, one of the same nation. Islam, so nationality and friendship go hand in hand. Party or kin, one who looks with favor upon a cause, institution, or the like. Are we not an institution? Islam? You know, and just, you know, to pause there. You know, praise Allah for the More Science Temple of America. You know, Sheik Brownell and I have been doing a lot of, you know, like building lately. And, you know, we've been, he's actually been sending a lot of pictures over that he had in his records of Moorish Americans, like going all the way back, like since the Prophet, you know. And just to see, like, you know, the fact that the Prophet Noble Ali has placed turbans and crescent pins on these sisters' heads and to make them readily identifiable as Moabites, right? Place feathers on our heads. It's something that, brothers, this headdress we wearing, you know, is definitely ancient, but we got at least 100 years in this country of being aware of us. It's a legacy we're upholding. You know what I'm saying? And we want to make sure, you know, what we don't do in the More Science Temple of America, we don't just tell the brother, go buy your feds and give them a website. We don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Because when you do that, it removes a meaning. It removes the substance of what that headdress represents. Like I've always said, on the charter has the fez on it. It's known as, you know, figure number 1. That's what we refer to it as. And figure number 1 represents the degree of law and civilization, right? So you don't just get that and throw it on your head. You actually have to be crowned with that, right? And you have to live according to that, whether you have it on or not, right? So whether we don't have a fez on or not, if we don't have a fez on, we still got it on in our actions and deeds. Islam wars?
Islam.
The definition of friendliness. Friendliness is defined as the condition or quality of being friendly. A disposition, you know, disposition is also used to define someone's nature, someone's disposition, right? A disposition to favor or befriend. goodwill, which is a particular holy teaching, because goodwill, charity to all, good, good, peace on earth and goodwill to men. That's that. I was confusing that with charity to all and malice to none. Exercise of benevolence or kindness. Now, Morris, you have to realize that when the prophet spoke, he spoke in degrees. So these words that he gave us, other civilized societies, right, other friendships, other brotherhoods, other sisterhoods have this same language. You get to talk about benevolence. You go to another organized group outside of your own, and well, why do you have why do you have that fez or that turban on? Or we just demonstrate the principles of benevolence? Because that's not a word in common usage, right? So now you speak in the language, right? So there's a language that that masters speak to one another, right? And if you know what you're looking at when you read the Holy Quran, the more science of America, you'll get a second sight in your reading of it. You're like, oh, this is a master put it together, right? It says the term friendly. It says having the temper. So temper, going back to character, that quality of character, right? Having the temper and disposition of a friend, disposed to promote the good of another, not hostile. Mention that again. Not hostile. Favorable. Propitious. Write that word and write down and take that with you. Propitious. Propitious. Right? And a synonym for this is amicable, which also means friendly. Friendship, right? So the friendship of Jesus and Lamas, right? Friendship. The feeling that subsists between friends or binds them, it's that language again, binds them to one another. Attachment to a person. Mutual attachment, kind regard, or kindness. Islam?
Islam.
Right? This point I want to draw from Piscean record, book of John, chapter 15, right? Specifically, I'm going to be drawing from verses, the emphasis is on verses 13 through 17, but to get context, I got to take it from 1, right? And depending on your translation of the Bible, the header of this is usually the vine and the branches. The prophet talks about the vine and fig tree, right? So let's get into what that vine is, right? Jesus 2,000 years ago, because we do agree that, Prophet Noble Ali was a hyphenated Jesus of Nazareth. You know what you're doing, right? So 2,000 years ago, this is what he said. He said, 15, verse 1, I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes. Right? So what does it mean when you have a garden and you prune? What are you doing? Cleaning house.
Snipping.
Right? If I was to apply a tool to that from chapter 5, that would be the what?
It would be the axe.
The action. We'll use the axe to do what? To cut away the useless and ungainly parts. Islam? So every so often you have to prune your garden. If not, weeds will grow up and choke whatever you're trying to grow, right? So it says, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes, so that it will be even more fruitful. You are already clean because of the word I have spoken to you. Remain in me as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. I'll read that again. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. So you become a Moorish American Muslim. Prophet Noble Ali was the one that instructed you. It basically brought and resurrected what it was to be Moorish in this country back to our people. Right? Now, you fall to your lower self, Allah forbid. You become wiser than the Prophet, so you run off. Right? And you start demonstrating what your interpretation or your understanding of Moorish, Islamism, what they call Moorish science. Right? But here it says you're not going to bear any fruit unless you stay connected to the vine. Islam? So we got to stay connected to the Prophet because he was the one that brought it. He said the nations of the earth will not recognize this movement without I, the Prophet, as the head. Islam? All right? He was demonstrating being the vine. Instruction 4, it says, remain in me as I also remain in you. I've already read that. Instruction 5. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If you do not remain in me, you are like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. Islam?
Islam.
When we lower the meeting, go over to the picture of the Prophet and look, one in the wood frame at the top, and look behind him. Right? So the Prophet standing there, dressed in his, on his degrees. And in the back, you see almost like what looks like moving ethers, right? And that's demonstrating the destruction. So basically, I came before the fire. That's not demonstration. So if you remove him, all you have is the destruction. Islam says, instruction 7, if you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish and it will be done for you. This is to my Father's glory that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. That was him saying, praise Allah. Islam, so once he's demonstrating all the degrees, they looking at him as this profound master. He threw it off himself and said, no, praise Allah. It's him, it's not me. Islam? All right? And it says, showing yourself to be my disciples, which in Arabic is, I just write it in English at the same time, is the word tilmeed. Yes. And tilmeed is disciple. Right? Instruction 9, as the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. And that's the word to remain in love, is the term abide. You have that in your Quran too. You abide in truth, right? It means to dwell forever, right? If you keep my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands and remained in his love. He wasn't a pointer of the way. He had to stay and demonstrate the love made manifest to men, right? As he was demonstrating it, he could easily tell them to demonstrate it because he led the way. Right? Says, I have told you this so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. My command is this, right? Going back to friendship, and the basis of friendship is what? Love, right? My command is this, love each other as I have loved you.
Right.
That, to me, this was a powerful demonstration right here. This is how you know he wasn't talking to common men. He said, instruction 13, greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for his friends.
Islam.
Like, common people are not built that way.
Right.
I tell a young brother, I said, man, in y'all area, y'all shouldn't even do dirt no more. Because y'all don't have a code, y'all be ready to sing on each other and argue. Dry snitch. Is that shit dry snitch? It's loud, more.
It's a plague.
Right, it's absolutely a plague, But it all comes from lack of principle, lack of free national standards, right? But greater love has none than this, to lay down one's life for his friends. He says, you are my friends if you do what I command. I no longer call you servants because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I have called you friends. So now they went from being servants, I call you friends.
He elevated.
Islam? They got elevated, but it's always degrees even once you get elevated. It's degrees and degrees. They keep going. You see what I'm saying? So, they elevated beyond master and servant. You see what I'm saying? They're on the equal footing of knowing what the master knows. Right now, whether they apply it or not, it's not a demonstration. And we know, researching the story, what happened to the disciples after that, didn't work out too well. Right? But he did elevate. He says, I'll read that again. I no longer call you servants because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I've called you my friends, for everything that I've learned from my Father I've made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you, not elected. I appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit that will last, and so that whatever you ask in my name, the Father will give you, because I and the Father are one. This is my command, love each other. Islam?
Islam.
All right, so friendship and love is the same thing. You see what I'm saying? And that's the core of what we're laboring to get people to understand, or get the state of mind we're laboring to get them back to, is just to simply just love each other.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we come with all the history and all, you know what I mean? This powerful, brother Akil's word, delineations of what truth is, right? However, man, it's very simple. We can look in your brother and see yourself, right? We won't want harm for him because you won't want harm for yourself. Right. Same thing with sisters. You want for your sister what you want for yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't nobody walk around stressed out all day and stuff like that. So if you want peace for yourself, you want that for your sister. Now, if they're not in the state of mind to understand that, then there's a little but huge degree called mercy. Because it's an attribute of the highest self, justice, mercy, love and right? And so that's something that you have to, issue out. Like my grandmother always tell me, you only get to keep what you give away. You know what I'm saying? So if you want peace for yourself, you have to give peace. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you ever been to a beach and you picked up some sand, you held it real tight in your hand. The tighter you grip, it slips right between your fingers. You see what I'm saying? So you got to open your hand up and give something away. Most Americans are not hoarders. You know what I'm saying? Like, we like to share what our prophet brought to us, but it takes time to find out who your friends truly are. Islam, all right? At this point, I'd like to read something from just one verse, not even a verse, just a couple of words out of the verse. Chapter 17, instruction 1. Because we got to remember, masters have friends in different schools of thought. Right? Prophet said that Prophet Noble Ali was walking down the street. He had one of the Moors with him. He said, a man that was of Greek descent nature came out of the store. He said, do you know who this man is? And the Moor said, yeah, that's my prophet. He said, all right, make sure you take care of him, you know. So, prophet doing knowing Greeks. You know what I mean? And the Greeks bearing the prophet witness. There was also another story after the prophet passed form. They said, Asiatic came to the temple. So where's the little man used to be around here all the time, whatever. Oh man, he passed form. He went back to the bosom of Allah, So, oh man, he was a good man. He's like, this is after the stock market crash. He said, that man told me how to move my money around, and I saved a lot of money. I didn't suffer the pain of the crash that everybody else felt. The prophet gave him certain wisdom, you see what I'm saying? But the Moors looking like, we didn't know the prophet was even moving in them circles. That's what I'm saying? Instruction 17 says, again, Holy Quran, the Moor Science Temple of America, chapter 17, part 7. It says, Jesus appears fully materialized before Apollo and the silent brotherhood, or friendship, right, in Greece, appears to Claudius and Juliet on the Tiber near Rome, appears to the priests in the Egyptian temple of Heliopolis. So you get a few words from instruction 1, right? Where it says Apollo, and it says, comma, with the silent brotherhood of Greece. Islam? So there was a silent brotherhood in Greece. Now, I'm going to jump over to the book titled Stolen Legacy by George G. M. James. Boys, y'all got this book in the collection. Y'all bugging. Y'all are really bugging. Make this a part of every part, right? On page 84 of Stolen Legacy, now thinking about that silent brotherhood of Greece, right? We're going to talk about Socrates, right? Anybody have their phones? Somebody Google Socrates. Pull up a picture of Socrates. Statue of Socrates. Because again, we hear Greek, European, opposite, right? You pull up a picture of Socrates. Socrates' nose looks like the rapper KRS-One. He got the original demonstration, Woody, But when you get it, just say Islam. But this is entitled Crito's Account. Now, Socrates was sentenced to death for teaching the teachings of the ancient Egyptians in Greece. Okay? And moving them and basically teaching people how to actualize their own divinity instead of worshiping external gods. Okay? He was found out. Islam, you got it? Okay. My man's nose. Islam? So that's Socrates. Islam? He don't look like Brad Pitt to me. Islam? You know, like Thor, another, none of these guys. And he got found guilty. He was placed on house arrest for a certain time, and then he was basically the death sentence he got, and they had him drink a cup of a poison called hemlock, H-E-M-L-O-C-K, hemlock, right? But this was some of his friends that came to him and basically like, look, I know they sentenced you to that, but we can get you out of here if necessary, right? And it's a dialogue between his friend Crito, C-R-I-T-O, and Socrates. It says, Crito, on the night before the death of Socrates, while he was in prison, on behalf of the company of visitors, made a final appeal to him to permit them to secure his escape, and spoke as follows. Now, this is kind of in the same mind state of the brothers that came to the tomb to get the brother Jesus out, when he was going through his healing process. Islam? It says, "O my Socrates, I beseech for you the last time to listen to me and save yourself. For to me your death will be more than a single disaster. Not only shall I lose a friend, the like of whom I shall never find again, but many persons who do not know you and me well think that I might have saved you if I had been willing to spend money, but that I neglected to do so. And what character could be more disgraceful than the character of caring more for money than one's friends. The world would never believe that we were anxious to save you, but that you yourself refused to escape. Tell me this, Socrates. Surely you are not anxious about me and your other friends, and afraid lest if you escape, the informer should say that we stole you away and get us into trouble and involve us in a great deal of expense, or perhaps in the loss of all our property, and it may be bring some other punishment upon us besides. If you have any fear of this kind, dismiss it. For of course we are bound, that's that word bind again, we are bound to run those risks, and still greater risks than those, if necessary, in saving you. This is a friend. Islam was?
Islam.
So do not, I beseech you, refuse to listen to me. Then Socrates replied, I am anxious about that, Crito, and about much besides. And Crito continued the appeal. Then have no fear on that score. There are men who, for no large sum, are ready to bring you out of prison into safety, and then, you know, these informers are cheaply bought, and these parts up, and there will be no need to spend much on them. My fortune is at your disposal. Okay, this is a friend. A friend puts everything up for his friend. Islam? And I think that it is sufficient, and if you have any feeling about making use of my money, there are strangers in Athens whom you know, ready to use theirs. So it's another part of brotherhood, another part of friends in Athens, right? Ready to use their wealth. And one of them, Simmias of Thebes is actually in Egypt, who actually bought enough money for the purpose. And Cebes, C-E-B-E-S, and many others are ready too. And therefore I repeat, do not shrink from saving yourself on that ground, and do not let what you said in court, that if you went into exile, you would not know what to do with yourself, stand in your way. For there are many places for you to go where you will be welcome. If you go to Thessaly, which is in Italy, I have friends there who will make much of you and shelter you from any annoyance from the people of Thessaly. Consider then, Socrates, or rather, the time for consideration is past. We must resolve, resolution is his name. We must resolve, and there is only one plan possible. Everything must be done tonight. If we delay any longer, we are lost. O Socrates, I implore you to not refuse to listen to me. So this is a divine plea on one of his friends, attempting to show him that we can save you. You don't have to die this unjust death. Islam or?
Islam.
It's the power of a friend who was a part of the brotherhood. Islam?
Islam.
Okay? So, and a lot of times they move in secrecy. You know, it was due to a company of visitors that maneuvered that friend to get him to speak to Socrates. You see what I'm saying? So they had, these brothers and sisters have people in place in every segment of society. So when they need to navigate, you know, there might be a word spoken. There might be a sign given. Islam? There might be some particular thing where that particular brother or sister can recognize their brother or sister in the dark as well as the light. Right? Or by night and by day, as our prophet taught us. Islam?
Islam.
All right? But we have to get, we have to learn how to move in these perspectives and civilize the lower nature in ourselves, because when we go in these bodies, they don't tolerate a lot of stuff. Right? You'll get ostracized. Like, anybody ever heard of the Essenes before? Okay? Who are the Essenes?
Seeing the priesthood that Jesus was a part of as well.
Islam.
Nazarites.
Where were they located?
And want to say Palestine, but I want to be more specific.
Yes, sir.
Like,
they were right outside the city of Jerusalem. So you had the city of Jerusalem, which they considered to be corrupt. So they built their own Jerusalem outside on the outskirts, right? So if you research the Qumran caves, right, you'll see in the Nag Hammadi text, what they call the Dead Sea Scrolls, right? That was a part of the whole Essene Brotherhood community, right? And this is where the Catholic Church gets this from, that vow of celibacy. The Essenes were on, demonstrated on that wise. They didn't, how they propagated the brotherhood, where people saw the corruption in Jerusalem and would actually bring their children to them, raise my son in the mysteries. You see what I'm saying? They would donate the kids, they would raise the kids in the mysteries and stuff like that. Like you said, the brother Jesus, he was a member at one point, John the Baptist. At another point, various different masters. Now, there will be times where, because they have very strict laws, when one got cast out of the community, right, for violating the laws, their mind and their spirit had become so, aligned with like that hive mentality, working together. And when they were cast out, they would, they'd stop eating, or if they ate, they would just start falling to eating grass, and would just die from a broken heart because they're no longer part of the brotherhood. Right? So what high mysteries, what amount or degrees of love were they demonstrating where when one was disconnected from that love, their form quit working? Islam? All right? So, this is some of the things that, that your forefathers demonstrated and got them to the point where they were able to erect cities like Cordova, or, what Hannibal and them built, and, so on and so forth, right? Last but not least, I would like to go to the Quran of Mecca. Again, Surah 25, ayats 27 through 29. Quran of Mecca. So we've seen what a friend is. Let's see what a friend isn't. (25, 27). Okay? In the name of Allah, beneficent, most merciful. It says, instruction 27, it says, the day that the wrongdoer will bite at his hands, he will say, "Oh, that I had taken the straight path with the messenger. Ah, woe is me, would that I never had taken such a one for a friend. He did lead me astray from the message of Allah after it had come to me. Ah, the shaitan is but a traitor to man." Islam, Morris?
Islam.
Right? So the one that is not a friend, or like the Prophet Ali said, the one that mendeth not their faults, is the one that would lead you away from the path of Allah. Right? And it says, makes the clear point, after that knowledge had come to you. Again, Allah don't really care like what you did before you woke up, because you kind of on autopilot, right? But once you wake up, once we proclaim our nationality, once we demonstrate, the one message that was sent by all the prophets, regardless of custom, if we fall away from the message, then now we're held accountable. Islam?
Islam.
And I like to draw from a booklet called Humanity, which were minutes from the 1928 convention. It's a section called The Prophet's Plea to the Nation. It's a couple paragraphs. This was on the holy day, Friday, March 1st, 1928. It says, "Our divine and national movement stands for the specific grand principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And I, the Prophet, am applying to all loyal, faithful Moors, members, and the American citizens." For those taking notes, write these down. Because these are different. This is not all one group of people. So you can come almost stratify this. So write number 1, loyal. Number 2, faithful Moors. 3, members. And 4, American citizens. Okay? Now, as a Moorish American, as a real faithful Moorish American, you strive to be all 4 of those classifications. You strive to be loyal, faithful, a member, and an American citizen. Islam?
Islam.
A couple weeks ago, we did the "I'm so Moorish that I joke" series, and one of the Moors said, "I'm so Moorish that I'm American." I said, praise Allah, that was powerful. Short but powerful, right? Moving forward, it says, we'll take it from that again. "Now the Prophet is applying to all loyal, faithful Moors members and the American citizens to help me in my great uplifting acts of uplifting fallen humanity among the Asiatic race and nation." Asiatic race and nation. "For I have suffered much and severely in the past through misunderstanding of what the movement was dedicated to. It is the great God Allah alone that guides the destiny of this divine and national movement. I know all the American citizens are identified by national and national descent names, and to answer and apply to the free national constitution of this free national republic of the United States of America. That's why I'm calling upon all true national citizens to help me morally and financially in my great work. I am going to help this national government, for without a free national name with a descent flag of your forefathers, there is not a divine and national divine title of the government in which we live. This is from your true and divine prophet unto all American and foreign sympathizers. Islam or
Islam.
The prophet Noble Drew Ali was not only applying to us, but the prophet had many amongst various different nationalities that were helping him in his divine work. Islam?
Islam.
And that was because our prophet was indeed a universal prophet, and the language and the teaching, holy teaching that he demonstrated, was indeed a universal teaching. Islam or
Islam.
All right? So, question is, will you be a friend to the prophet?
Indeed.
Will you demonstrate with one another a love with each other that will generate a cohesiveness whereby we can get something done? You know, because like the brother Jesus said 2,000 years ago, he said if we don't stay connected to the vine, we won't bear fruit. Islam. So if we ever find ourselves in a position or a point where we're looking unproductive, right? We have to ask ourselves, are we connected to the vine like we're supposed to be? You know, and if not, then we have to look into it with a hope of correcting it, as our prophet said. Islam? All right? Anybody have any comments, questions, concerns, or statements? Islam, brother Mujahid.
Islam. I was just drawing off the definition again with friends, and and I was just lining it up, and I seen a lot of words. Even your last statement, and it came out to chapter 25. It says, "Now let the bonds of affection unite thee with thy brother, so peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house." And it says, when ye separate to the world, remember the relationship that bindeth you to love and unity, for not a stranger for thy own blood.
Islam.
So I just see a lot of, how the prophet was speaking, in intelligent tone and giving us the instruction that, that was necessary, to create that brotherhood, that sisterhood, and that nationhood.
Absolutely. And I think it's powerful, like you put a thought in my mind just now where he said, and when ye separate in the world, remember. So the two words that jump out to me is when you separate, remember. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of times, when we fall out, we don't remember. We in the now, we don't remember. Remember means, like, in other words, that, the angel Gabriel gave the prophet Muhammad a revelation that said, if you get confused about anything that we are bringing you, right, go back to that which was revealed before you. Remember. Go back. Islam? Remember is also the word dhikr, right? Which means, some say it means to remember or to chant or whatever. But ironically, the word dhikr, which is spelled do it in English, obviously, so we can read for understanding. The word dhikr, right, which means to remember. Okay, and the book of Genesis in the Hebrew, when they talk about the prophet Adam, right, one of the words in Hebrew that he's referred to as is zakar, and zakar also means to remember, right? Meaning that now this spirit called Adam is now in a form, right? And being in a form, we have a tendency to forget that we're connected to something. You see what I'm saying? So by the very vibration they put on him, his vibration was to remember, right? And even when they refer to Adam and Eve in the Quran of Mecca, in Arabic, they refer to them as zakar wa antar, which means remember and then a second. So in other words, so we're to remember, right, as men, right? But if we were to really remember that divinity, look at our second, her, because she's the closest to divinity. You understand what I'm saying? So we want to look at unconditional love, mercy, things that we don't have in us naturally, right? Look at how she moves with the children. How she take care of you even when we act up, stuff like that, and she still got love for you. And it's like, praise Allah, that's a divine attribute. So zakar wa untha. So that's second. Untha is ithnin too in Arabic, or dual. But and again, so it's just the divine harmony of it, and there's no greater friendship between husband and wife. That's how it's supposed to be. I know that ain't the ideal situation in all households, but that's how it's supposed to be, because the fruit, because when that's connected to the vine, we see the fruit that comes from it, a divine fruit. Islam. So praise Allah. Praise Allah, Sister Jalilini. I give a shout out on camera. Remember, the more science stuff is better. Praise Allah. And with that, our lower the meeting. Islam, Morris? Islam? Islam.
Allahu Akbar.
حي على الصلاة.
Allahu Akbar.